Right, right, left, left. And now, there's one thing that you want to do in the old chapel before anything else can be done, and that is you want to get at the safe before Sixpence can. This is how you get Grayson's, this is how you get Grayson's invitation. And if you hustle, wait a minute. Well, anyway, we want to hustle. If you get to the candle very quickly, you find a ghost. And this ghost, so we talk at last? It's been a long road for you. All to come back here. Take this, and I'll play on. The King of Diamonds. That is the trophy for all collect. He was close all along, you know. Mr. Sixpence, that is. Just got a bit mixed up. This place does that to you. But yeah, that's the last collectible. Now I have this rotten feeling that I need to explore all the rooms again in order to look them for. You need to hustle along. And I'm really hoping that this is all that we need for the brochure. So then, let's have a read of the whole thing like in old crosscode episodes. The tutorial is just those pages, so we don't need to go over those again. The guests. I've been showing those in the end slates, and I'm going to show Grayson's invitation in this end slate too, so no need to go over those. The casino. The camera room. Keeping the mansion and its guests safe and secure is an enormous task, and one which the Marquis and his security team took very seriously indeed. The previous head of security, Glay Rockridge, would often confirm suspected cheating from this room here, but take no immediate action. It would only be later on, in the grounds of the mansion after dark, that the perpetrators would find themselves with their heads held underwater in the beautiful garden fountain. But only until they saw the error of their ways, of course. The Casino Center. The most famous card games ever held at the sexy Brutale was between Alexander Minsky the Cruel, a Russian diamond magnate, and Big Mac Rockefeller, a Texan oil baron. Cameras were installed to show the game, ostensibly for the other guests' enjoyment, but also to prevent cheating on the part of either of the two notorious liars. In later years, cameras were installed throughout the rest of the casino so that any game or room could be shown on the monitor. The original game ended, by the way, in neither win or loss, but rather in a fistfight which saw both men disbarred from the casino for a year. The Butterfly House. The Marquis held a particular fascination with exotic, colourful, and above all, venomous creatures. He created this tropical room to house some of his most beautiful and dangerous specimens. In addition to using their toxins to flavour and spice the drinks he served at the mansion, a practice which thrilled and delighted as many guests as it horrified, he enjoyed nothing more than walking through this room knowing that a careless step or misplaced touch could end his life. He kept the room under lock and key, but there were whispered rumours among the staff of a horrific creature growing unchecked in the sweltering darkness. The bar. What's Your Poison Bar is one of the great draws of the sexy Brutale. Every cocktail here is spiced with just a touch of exotic venom from one of the highly dangerous creatures kept within the mansion. It is these venoms that give the drinks served here a kick and flavour that most will have never experienced elsewhere. This practice is both highly dangerous and extremely illegal, which only adds to the appeal and palate of the drinks. It's said that the most delicious and dangerous venom is harvested from an enormous spider lurking deep in the mansion. The dance hall. The Marquis considered him truly an audio pioneer who loved to experience and experiment with a truly eclectic range of music. By mixing the old with the new, he threw parties that offered something truly different for his guests. Nothing brought him more joy than seeing new and exciting dances, created in order to keep up with the fresh sounds played in his dance hall. The Marquis liked to say his balls were greatly admired by high society, a comment for which he would usually be sharply rebuked by his wife. The guest rooms. Tequila's room. Tequila Belle and Willow Blue always had a room reserved for them when they visited the mansion. Despite the Marquis's best efforts, Tequila never wanted any particular luxury lavished on her. She only needed a place to sleep and access to the practice stage. But this year she's been a little disappointed by the patch of rising damp in her room, and to top it off she hears noises at night. Sounds like dark secrets whispered in her ear, making it hard for her to sleep or dream without images of terrible visions coming at her from deep cold places. The Hungry Lock. When Willow Blue discovered the Marquis had successfully obtained an actual juju guppy, she was filled with dread. Far from being colourful superstition, these ancient demons will sometimes take the form of tiny fish in order to get close to the people of influence, or who have a lot to lose. Though she never speaks of it, Willow is a true voodoo princess, blessed or cursed with the second sight. Knowing the danger the guppy posed, Willow created a powerful lock to key the secret chamber where the Marquis had hidden the fish so no one could enter by accident. The lock will only open to the correctly prepared charm. The secret chamber is home to one of the Marquis's darkest, secrets. Knowing his wife loved and missed the sea, he obtained the rarest fish of all, a juju guppy, from the deepest swamps of the Caribbean. These tiny, brightly coloured creatures were believed to house the soul of an ancient demon. Owning such a fish is entirely illegal. But for his wife, the Marquis was willing to break any rule. He created a beautiful lush chamber in the heart of his mansion for his wife could sit and watch the tiny guppy. Elinor later confessed that spending time in the chamber with the guppy made her feel greatly uneasy. She said it would whisper in her ear, and she would become overcome with sadness. The Bell Tower. The gigantic bell mounted in the heart of the mansion was once used to mark significant events taking place throughout the day. It is made of bronze and gold alloy, which was crafted by Aurum runes to produce a mellower sound than usual. Despite this, it can still be heard clearly in every part of the mansion when it is rung, no matter how far away the listener. Aurum was unsettled by the bell, however, as he said the note it gave was far more haunting and sad than he expected, no matter how he shaped and reshaped it. Willow Blue's room. The Marquis met Willow when he travelled deep into the swamps of the south, looking for a truly special gift, a mythical juju guppy. He found Willow selling antiques in a tiny shop where every piece on display was more macabre and fantastical than the last, as if she had a second sight that allowed her to see the stories behind the artifacts. Willow now searches out unique and misunderstood curios for the Marquis to display in his mansion. It has been given her own room to stay when she returns each time from her travels. This time, Willow was horrified to learn the Marquis had finally tracked down that special gift and is keeping it in the mansion. Elinors' painting room. A talented artist, Elinor loved to paint and sculpt. She was, as Lucas liked to say, fond of making a mess. To create her studio here, Elinor stripped and repainted every inch of the walls by hand, making it forever her own. The many paintings across the mansion are almost exclusively Elinor's works. She loved to adapt existing styles and put a flippant or unsettling twist on them. The Marquis, ever fond of secrets, sealed off the room behind the studio and installed a hidden door behind one of the paintings to create a luxurious chamber for his wife. Master Aquarium. Realizing that the aquariums were an excellent way to both please his wife and show off to his guests, the Marquis wanted to collect only the rarest of fish. The Devil's Hole pupfish is a tiny breed of fish existing solely in one muddy hole in one particular desert. Once every 100 years, a bizarre mutation will manifest and one will grow to an enormous size and display extraordinary colouring. These are known as the Devil's Monarchs. Lucas obtained a government license to own one and preserve one of these, much to his wife's delight. However, this is still not the rarest or most unusual creature kept in the mansion. Grinmore, Deep Demon. Old as stones, Grinmore is the true form hiding behind the tiny juju guppy that the Marquis bought for his wife as a gift. Completely unaware the legends were real. One of the true voodoo demons of the deep, Grinmore resembles a gigantic anglerfish with a tiny guppy on the lure as a lure on the end of his tether. Only those with the second sight can see Grinmore's true form. But he delights in whispering madness to any who will listen. Willow knew what was really in the tank in the secret chamber and created special candles that would reveal him for a concentration, but once unmasked he proved to be more powerful than she could have imagined. The music rooms. The instrument pool room. The Marquis liked to say he blew so hard at playing instruments he almost literally sucked. But he was an excellent pianist and a general audiophile. When Elinor sang, the Marquis would frequently accompany her, and playing together was one of their cherished pastimes. The instrument pool is a shallow ornamental pond, surrounded by stone replicas of instruments played by some of the couple's favorite artists. And in the cabinets are instruments owned by famous musicians from history. Every one of them is maintained and kept fully tuned. Any guest at the mansion who is happy to play for an audience is welcome to perform with any instrument they please. Tequilas Stage. The stage within the music room wing of the mansion features one of several delicate stained glass murals, commissioned by the Marquis, designed by the architect genius Thanos, and created by the master goldsmith Aurum Runes. The Marquis created this stage room primarily as a gift to the singer Tequila Belle, who is regarded as a living national treasure due to her extraordinary voice and talent. Whenever Tequila visits the mansion, she has the room entirely at her disposal. She's often accompanied on the piano by Red Rockridge, ex-head croupier for the sexy Brutale, and an unusually gifted pianist. The band room was another practice room for any of the guests or entertainers at the mansion to make free use of. It was actually most popular with several members of staff, who had their own full house club band and would frequently play during the masked balls each year. It was a little known secret that many of the members of house staff were musicians who actually came to serve at the sexy Brutale for the sole reason of gaining access to the treasure trove of instruments that the Marquis accumulated. More valuable than even the instruments, however, is the opportunity to talk and learn from the extraordinary caliber of musicians who visit the mansion. Man, it's getting late. The dressing room was created to allow Tequila and any other performers a private space where they could prepare for any of the shows, of which there were always many at the sexy Brutale on any given evening. The area was originally another room for displaying instruments and other items from musical history, but these were all hastily stored and locked away in an adjacent storage room. The laundry chute allows for changes of clothes to be quickly processed by staff, but in later use the room below was converted into an exotic butterfly house, and so the show fell out of use. It may, however, still be connected. Not that anyone would put anything down it, of course. The Theatre Brutale is one of the jewels in the crown of the sexy Brutale. It has hosted countless plays and featured some of the most extravagant and involved sets ever created. The Marquis had always been a particular fan of escapology, and the current setup on stage is for a particularly dramatic, but fairly simple, death-defying feat. Even though it's meticulously rehearsed, the spikes and electricity involved are very real. In addition to his love for traditional plays and acts of escapism, the Marquis also increasingly interested in immersive theatre, and one day wanted to plan an interactive event that would include the entire mansion. The Moloch Egg was one of the Marquis's most guilty pleasures. The egg itself was one of the 3 legendary treasures created for the Russian nobility by the Runes family, the greatest goldsmiths in living memory, of which Aurum is a distant descendant. The reason why the Marquis acquired it, however, was mainly because he knew how his old friend and security expert, Grayson, was obsessed with the egg and driven almost to madness with a longing to see it. The Marquis, fully capable of being a complete bastard when it amused him, delighted in dropping none too subtle hints to Grayson that it was hidden somewhere in the mansion. The Switch Rooms. The Marquis is a passionate supporter and enthusiast for theatre and the arts. Also, he is an enormous show-off and loves nothing more than excessive displays of wealth and passion. For the most recent stage production, featuring an enormous gilded cage, he arranged for thousands of volts of electricity to be rerouted into the theatre. As a token nod to some sort of health and safety, to activate the electricity, 2 fail-safe switches must be flicked at the same time. It's conceivable that the mechanism could be tampered with, meaning that the same process would be needed to turn the electricity off. But the chances of that happening are surely too small to worry about. The Marquis Chamber. The Marquis had several offices that he used throughout the mansion, but his favourite was this room, close to the Theatre Brutale. He was always looking for new and interesting shows to host, building many bespoke stages along with his architect, Thanos Gorecki, for one-off performances. In recent years, much of the original furniture from the room has been relocated, but there are still many important personal touches to the room and secrets known only to the Marquis, or those very close to him. It was also believed that this room was where he kept some of his most famous and important personal artifacts and treasures. Well, the Moloch Egg wasn't in there, but the lighter certainly was. The Theatre Waiting Room was created to allow visitors with the Theatre Brutale an area to relax and prepare for the show. The ticket booth is purely for creating souvenirs. No guest of the mansion ever paid for an event, despite some of the most exotic and unique shows in the world going on stage here. In recent years, the Marquis was increasingly impressed in immersive theatre, and was even planning some shows that would potentially incorporate the entire mansion and take place over hours, or even an entire day. The Hell Room was one of 2 rooms that Elinor planned to paint, a Heaven Room and a Hell Room, based on her love from some of the mansions she visited when she was younger. However, while she was creating the demonic artwork that covered every inch of the Hell Room, she was overcome with a great sense of dread and unease. The Hell Room was later wallpapered over, leaving only one image uncovered. She called it the Golden Skull, a skeleton of a young child with beautiful golden hair. The Heaven Room was never started, but lies 2 rooms to the west. The Dining Hall has never been used to hold a formal meal, as staff and guests alike find it deeply unsettling room to be in. A dumbwaiter connects down to the kitchen, as is usual in mansions of this size. As a somewhat macabre joke, the Marquis had the room laid out for a dumb supper, a meal for the dead, which was a reference that he was sure that Willow would appreciate. She, however, found no humour in it whatsoever. The Furnace Elevator. At the centre of the mansion is a glorious statue carved in the shape of a phoenix. It is one of the crowning glories of the mansion, a marvel of vision, art, and engineering. The statue was originally an enormous furnace that warmed the mansion, before the entire heating system was redesigned and improved by Thanos. The Marquis also included a secret in the statue, however, shared only with a select few. It conceals an elevator leading down into the sections of the basement kept hidden from prying eyes. So secret, in fact, that the original safety codes to activate the elevator were changed so that not even Thanos knows the true combination. The Great Gold Elevator. Reginald Sixpence was the one closest to the Marquis of all the guests who visited the mansion. The Marquis recognized that within Sixpence was a true spark of genius, and he confided and included with him like no other. Sixpence knew about the basement and created a mechanical elevator using sections of gilded steel that Aurum created to his specifications. For many engineers, knowing that their greatest work would be hidden in the depths of a basement would be an insult. But Sixpence truly lived for the pure joy of the challenge, a trait that would perhaps come to be misused. The Broken Mask Room. A twisted, insane statue stands in the middle of the room. Its purpose is unclear, as if it was crafted by a madman with only the most tentative grasp on form, function, or meaning, and placed here, out of sight and out of mind. Above it is a glass walkway, a series of tunnels that appears to connect to rooms throughout the mansion in a secret, unknowable way. What is this place? Who walks down here in the dark? The Graveyard. A cold wind blows down here. The door opens into a wide, outdoor field, deep in the depths of the mansion. It is impossible. You recognize the names on the graves. You recognize the carvings on the stone. The Gramophone Room. An enormous gramophone stands in the dark. It is from here that announcements for the mansion sound out, but who would create such a thing? Aurum would lack the mechanics, Thanos the inspiration, Sixpence the innovation, and Tequila the drive. The record spins when you run, creating sound and fury for as long as you exert yourself, but you go nowhere. You arrive back at the beginning, older but no wiser. A prison, here in the heart of the mansion. If you were to touch the walls, you would feel hundreds, thousands of tally marks, counting days, months, years. There's a tree growing from the cracks in the floor. How long would it take for this little sapling to become fully grown? How many years? The Cardroom. A gambler's paradise or a gambler's hell. The room is dizzying. One moment there is a sense of elation, followed by abject despair. Every moment swings from one extreme to the other, like the turning of a card. The effect overwhelms the senses, absorbing every moment of consciousness. You feel an entire life could be lived this way, swinging from one high to a low, and back again and again and again. But would that be really any life at all? As you think these thoughts, a deep chuckle, rich and welcoming, echoes through your skull. You recognize the voice without knowing it at all. The Clean Room. A laboratory? A hospital? A torture chamber? The room gleams with advanced technology and machines hum in the background. There's something on the slab, the outline of a person perhaps? There's a heavy breathing, as if the machines are forcing air into someone's lungs. The Gardens. The Marquis was an indifferent gardener, but Elinor loved the mansion grounds, and under her care they flourished. The fountain and its statues were carved from a single block of marble, imported at a phenomenal expense, and worked on day and night by Trinity for almost a full year. The full extent of the mansion grounds extends far beyond what can be seen from the terrace. The Smoking Room. Who knows what schemes were hatched here in the smoky haze of the Marquis's most personal inner sanctum? What greatness was planned, what madness was plotted? Lucas and his uncle-in-law Sixpence would often sit here together, long into the evening, discussing the future for their families. What ambitions did these two discuss? What dreams did they dare realize together? The place where events occur, both tragedies and triumphs, are often recorded. But what of the humble spaces where the first ideas take seed? The Safe Room. The Marquis had many secrets and many expenses. An enormous amount of effort went into making the running of the mansion appear effortless, but none of it came without cost. This room was where the unofficial versions of official documents were kept. A beauty parlour for accounts where numbers were massaged and rules were relaxed. Grayson himself constructed the safe in this room, utterly uncrackable to anyone without the code. He kept the truth of it at the heart of the affluent singing mansion, hidden away from prying eyes. The waiting room. The most nondescript of nondescript rooms. Please relax and take the weight off. There's really nothing of note to take note of here. Most people will likely have completely forgotten ever having seen this room, if they ever did see it in the first place. Would you recognize it from this angle? Perhaps you caught a peek, just a little glimpse of a hint, once before, long ago. Does it feel like a lifetime has passed since then? For some it certainly does. The room itself may not be important or noteworthy, but perhaps we should see if what's on the other side jogs our memories. The hunting room. A hunter in his misguided youth, the Marquis came to abhor the concept as he matured. He kept his trophies as a reminder of the man he no longer wished to be, feeling guilt and sorrow whenever he looked upon them. This way he was able to remind himself of who he had been, and in turn, who he never wanted to become again. His wife discouraged him from visiting this room, not wanting him to cause himself unnecessary suffering, but exposing himself to grief and pain was the only thing he believed gave so many unnecessary deaths at his hands any meaning. And we still can't get at the secrets. I think that's an endgame thing. So then everyone, next time on Let's Play the Sexy Brutale, we're going to move on. Until then guys, take care. I'll see you all around.